What up, what up? Welcome to the Two Goat Show. We're your host, Mariah and Steph. Steph, happy Two Goat Thursday. How you doing?
Happy Two Goat Thursday. I am good. I am great. Feeling good about the win, on Sunday. 49ers got back on track, but we're trying to see another win on Sunday. So let's keep it going.
Yes, 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 chat. What's up? Happy Two Goat Thursday. Hope everybody's doing great. Hope you have a good week so far. Before we get started, I do want to share something real quick. Let me add this up here. So those that are familiar and that watch my show know that I am always sharing Inspector Dabbitt's info, www.faithfulgear.209.com. He makes awesome gear for the faithful. He draws everything. He can make any gear that you want for any team, any player. He's currently dealing with some medical issues with his dog Frankie right now. So he's currently running a special on his site, 30% off with code Frankie, FRANKIE, to help just with those vet bills and everything, since there's not too much good vet insurance out there for pets. So those bills get up there pretty fast, pretty high, and of course he wants to do everything he can to save his little guy. So just if you want to get some gear, now would be the time to do it, to get that 30% off with code Frankie, and help him out in the process. So win-win for everybody. The info, his website is in the description box of every video that I put out there. So if you ever need to find it, it's there. But currently, make sure you get the gear now with code Frankie for that 30% off. Appreciate you all. Anybody that helps. And even if you can't, obviously, money is not, great for everybody right now. So even if you can go, if you're on X or Twitter and can share his tweet and at least get the word out there, anything helps. It's greatly appreciated. All right. So, whoa, we're in circles. What happened? What happened to us? Oh, all right. All right. So what's up, Sin? I see you all. Don, Niakila, Daniel Barry. What's up? What's up? Appreciate you all. So Steph, you talked about it. We got the win last week. We said, we had to beat that team. Like, you have to beat these shit teams that are in front of us. We didn't do that obviously the week before, and we talked about it. Was there stuff to look positive? Was it, the future looking bright? Were we still having a dark cloud over us? You didn't want to be looking to the bright future. You were still worried that, we're getting back a couple guys, but we still have injuries piling up. Now, we get the dub this week, but we have a whole list of guys that didn't practice yesterday. Still a whole list of guys that have yet to practice today. So the injuries are still stacking up. Even our Iron Man, Fred Warner, somebody who's only missed one game his career, is hurt and not practicing. We always have that saying, you got the win, but at what cost, right? So we did get the dub. We took care of business, but we got a little bit banged up in that game. What are your overall thoughts from the game? We talked about, we wanted to see our younger guys, get a shot. We got to see, those young guys, a few of them get some playing time, and a lot of them did pretty good with their snaps that they were given. What are your overall thoughts from the win over the Patriots?
Yeah, I would say overall, I wasn't super impressed by the win, but a win is a win, and it's a win they needed to have for a number of reasons, just like having dropped the previous two, and also just to get back on track and be able to stack some days. So I needed to see that they show me some life, and that's what they did on Sunday against the Patriots. So while it was a bad team in the Patriots, to me, it helps prove a little bit that the 49ers themselves aren't a bad team, because we know they aren't. Like, we know they have like all these great players, so there's no excuses for them to not be able to bully a team like that. And it wasn't like a bully type of game, even by their standards. Like, if this was like the 2023 49ers, they would have probably blown this team out, which, it was a pretty handy win, 30,
Mhm.
30, but probably still we're wanting to see a little bit more, right? But I think at this point we're accepting that, look, there's some things that this team needs to clean up on all sides of the ball, I think you could say, especially special teams. But all sides, and I think it's going to take them some time to really get there. I'm okay with that as long as they can continue to win in the meantime, like, and they're good enough to do that. They're good
Yeah.
enough to not have it all figured out, but still be able to win games. That's all I want. That's what we all want. So these next two games, obviously, really important. Don't want to get in too much into that, too ahead of myself here while you're asking me about Sunday. But my other big takeaway is Fred Warner, Brock Purdy, like, leaders of their respective, offense and defense, and they're just been playing incredible so far, and they showed that again on Sunday. So thank God for those two. But yeah, lot to clean up, but this was a good step, in a necessary step in the right direction.
Yeah, let's talk about Fred Warner since you brought him up there. Obviously he's having a great start to the season. The 49ers 2-2, but if the rest of the team was playing up to the level Fred Warner's playing at, like, we'd easily be running this freaking league, right? Like, the guy is just playing at an unbelievable level. Just when I think, like, man, like, he's at the top of his game, like, he comes the next season now and is like better somehow at everything. Like, how is it even possible? But I don't know, like, is it because he plays a linebacker? I don't It seems like we're always hearing like other teams, quarterbacks, other teams, anybody from the opposing teams that we're playing against, like, usually are so quick to give Fred Warner his praise and his respect. And like, he seems like his play and everything is so respected around the league, like, from his like mutual peers, right? But when it comes to like these awards and things like that, it just, I don't know if it's because his position that he plays, like, linebackers just aren't like thought of the same way. It just seems like they're so quick to always give like the defensive awards to like D line, like defensive ends, or cornerbacks. And it's like the guys in the middle like hardly get any love when he's, you could say, like, leading the defensive player of the year race right now. And yet even Vegas has his odds at like eighth, like the eighth best odds right now if you were to go put money on him. You saw that whatever the NFC defensive player of the month, whatever award came out, and it goes to Aiden Hutchinson from the Lions. And although, like, he has a great stat line, for the month, like, 4 of those sacks came in one game. So, like, did he have a dominant month or did he have a dominant game? Like, Fred Warner's had a dominant all 4 games. He's made a difference in all 4 games that we've played, and it just seems like he doesn't get that credit, or maybe the shine, or the, I don't know what you call it, but he doesn't get near enough anything what he deserves, I think. Like, what do you think it is when it comes to Fred Warner?
I mean, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know why he wouldn't be the NFC like defensive player of the month, cuz what else would he have needed to do, like, to get it, right? Like, I guess it begs that question. I honestly think he was robbed. I think we all feel like he was
Mhm.
robbed, and I hope he feels the same way, because, like, if we get an angry Fred, man, can you imagine what more he could actually do, right? So, I mean, you look at Fred's stat line, and you got to keep into perspective that he's a linebacker, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 27 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 3 forced fumbles in 4 weeks. Like, that's crazy. 4 passes defended, 1 sack. Like, there isn't an area that Fred Warner isn't like dominating on the
Yeah,
field right now. Like, he's a sack, like that's a pass rusher stat. Like, that's a defensive lineman stat. 2 interceptions, like that's a cornerback or a safety like stat. So what he's doing is he's an outlier, in the position. And so I would argue that that makes what he's been doing even more impressive,
right.
and that makes it like even more egregious that he didn't get this nod for defensive player of the month. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe like if the 49ers maybe had a better record, like would that have changed things? I don't know, but I'm with you. Like, obviously, not to take anything away from Aiden Hutchinson, he had a good stat line on the month, but I mean, what Fred's been doing has been on another level. And I've seen people, not just 49er fans, like I've seen people outside of 49ers fandom, like national media, talk about Fred Warner and how he's looked
Mhm.
like this month and highlight that. And you know why? It's because he looks better than he has before. Like, everyone has come to expect a certain level of performance with Fred. And even with that, I think we can all see he's performing even above that. So like other people are seeing it. I don't know whoever votes on this, like I don't know what they missed, but this was a highway robbery, man, just to not have Fred on there. And like I said, I hope he's angry about it, but at the same time, like I hope he has his eyes set on a much bigger picture award, and that is DPOY, which through first 4 weeks of the season, I'd put him at the top of the list for nominees for that.
Yeah, and like I'll pull it up right now. I was looking at it earlier, and you still have like so many players ahead of him right now, like when it comes as far as odds for like DPOY. And it's just like what more does the guy have to do? Like, what are you expecting?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Like I have it right here real quick just because it's so crazy. So they have Aiden Hutchinson at the top at plus 250. TJ Watt after that plus 300. Then Nick Bosa plus 850. Then Chris Jones plus 1100. Myles Garrett plus 1200. Max Crosby plus 1200. And then Fred Warner plus 2000.
I like those odds. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
like I'm not even a betting person, and this by no means is betting advice. But I would take those odds. Like, let me go grab my phone and get on that, because that seems like a pretty good bet to me.
So it's all D line, every single position above him.
Yeah, it's kind of becoming that type of award that it goes to D line, just like MVP
Goes to
usually goes
quarterback.
to a quarterback. Even Christian McCaffrey getting like offensive player of the year last year was kind of like bit of not a surprise, but like, I mean, thankfully he did enough to where he was like undoubtedly the
Yeah.
offensive player of the year. I think that's just what Fred's gonna have to do. Like, he's gonna have to be undoubtedly like the best defensive player and lead in like almost all defensive categories. That's a lot to ask for, but like I think that's what that award has kind of come to. Like, I don't know.
And like and I know he was asked about it in a recent interview. I forget what interview it was, but he was asked something, about the DPOI, and he pretty much said like anybody can, play good through the first month of football. Like, what are you doing
Yeah,
after
he's
you've
right.
been playing football for 3-4 months, and like you're in the grit of things and the aches and the pains and everything, and all that. And you're, stack month on week and game on game on top of each other, and then talk about, who's in the race and whatnot. And so, like, I like that mindset, like, and he always has such a great mindset when it comes to things like that. But like, I just hope they, if he, yeah, it's just 1 month, but it was one great month of football he played. And, if he can continue playing like how he played in this first month through the rest of the season, like, I just can't see like how you can't, unless somebody else is like, they have to be playing out of their freaking minds. Like, don't
Right.
fucking rob him and just give it to a DN that doesn't freaking deserve it, like, because he has 15 and a half sacks or some bullshit, it's just like so ridiculous. Like, there's
I
more to
mean,
football than sacks.
right, exactly. And that's what's so great about the linebacker position is like they do kind of have the opportunity to be everywhere. Like they are in coverage, they are in the box, like they could do all these things, and you have someone in Fred who is doing all those things and is having a hand in all those different areas, and yet like doesn't get that recognition. Like, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, like we're saying, like that's how it is. If anything, like him, Aiden Hutchinson getting the nod over Fred kind of tells us how people think about these things. Probably how DPOI will be looked at as well. Like it's unfortunate, but yeah, that's what it's looking like.
Yeah. Another thing that you had mentioned about this first game and that we talked about a lot last week was special teams. And um we had, even talked about how Kyle said, like, oh, we knew the fake was coming, and yet you couldn't still freaking stop it, right? Like, and how it just seems like they just constantly want people out there to just fair catch. Like, we never have like no return game. So Kyle was asked, we got to see Juice in the return game
Hmm.
this week for one return. I think just one, right? And he had a little bit of a run back, and like you could tell he got up and he was pumped. Like, he was so like, that's the most excited I've seen that guy in so long. You would have thought he ran it back for a touchdown, like. And then Kyle was asked about it, and I thought this was very interesting and so disgustingly on brand for what we've been talking about. He says, oh, we just wanted him to fair catch it. Like, that's all we wanted him to do. Just fair catch it. So we were right. Like, this is what they're
Yeah.
telling those guys. Like, just stand out there, fair catch it, don't fuck it up. And it's just like, and he even joked, yeah, luckily he wanted to win that job, so he returned it. Well, yeah, thank God these players are just taking it on their own now. Like, he's probably sick of seeing the shit ass return game as well, and he's finally like, yeah, get me in there, let me, like, I'll change something. And so Kyle said, it's his job for the rest of the season. We'll see how that goes. But what did you think about that? And what do you think about Juice being the returner from here on out?
I guess it's not really surprising given how some of the other guys have looked at different times. Cowing had a had a muff. Garendo had his fumbles, so it hasn't been too great from the younger guys. I'm sure in the background and practices, those guys are going to continue to try to improve and show their worth of being the return guy in the future. But yeah, I mean Juice is reliable. He is that, and I would trust him to get some yards a little more than like someone like Trent Taylor, for
Mm-hmm.
example, who is on the practice
Yes.
squad. He's not on the roster, but uh, yeah, I mean it makes sense. Just not wanting to see a mistake in a unit that's already been a little troublesome for the 49ers. So but given that it's Juice and someone that like we're saying, like he's reliable, just like Debo would be, like why would you tell someone like that to just fair catch it? I can understand if it was like one of the rookies, You know, you don't
Mhm.
want him to make a mistake, you know, a little risk adverse. But I mean, those guys, like, why not?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why not? Like, you know, they're playmakers. So I don't know. That doesn't make sense. I hope Juice continues to rebel a little bit and and still tries to get some yards, but I guess I won't be surprised if he fair catches it.
Yeah, it's like we're sitting here like calling for special teams coordinators jobs after job after job, and yet Kyle's sitting there, "Oh yeah, we told him to fair catch it." And it's just like, is it
Baseball.
because like why yeah, like you said, why him? Because maybe because he hadn't been returning like for so long, or who knows? But it's like you should be trusting like his hands, so I don't know,
Right.
very strange, but I'm like, Kyle just keeps getting in these pressers and telling on himself about this shitty special teams, I swear. Let's talk about a little bit about these injuries and about some players coming back. Obviously, Ricky Pearsall's window could have been opened for him to return this week. Kyle was asked about it. He said he would make the decision the next couple days. And now he says that the window will not be open. And then they kind of asked him like why, and he just says, well, we just feel he's not ready yet. So I don't know really what that means. Kalia Davis also had his window open. Kyle said, hopefully, we get to see him return this week. So that's definitely a piece that we need, back in a thinning position there. Also, I want to get your thoughts on Jalen Graham making his way back to the team, to the roster, because that's another position there that we're, getting thin. Obviously, we talked about Fred Warner, has that, I think it's an ankle injury, and he hasn't practiced. No Kittle practicing. I know there was few other guys that didn't practice yesterday. I haven't seen how they look this today, but DFF's banged up. We know Winters was banged up. So are you concerned about any of these guys? What do you think the status for Fred and Kittle are? Like, do you think this is cautionary, holding them out of practice? Where do you think they are? And then Jalen Graham, all that.
I hope and believe it is cautionary for guys, especially like Kittle and Fred, just because they do 2 games in 8 days. I think, and Kyle was asked about this earlier in the week, right? And I think the reasoning is pretty sound. Like, you don't want a guy to like prep and get out there and practice, not feeling 100% this week, and then he feels worse after the game, and then you don't have him on a short week. So I think it's more so like letting those guys rest as much as possible now. And those are guys who honestly don't really need a practice. You know, like, I wouldn't be too concerned about either of them not practicing like up until Friday. Like, tomorrow, I wouldn't even mind if they still didn't
Yeah.
practice. You call those guys questionable, they could still play. Um, but like, I think that's the important part. Like, you always got to think bigger picture. You always got to think long term. And I think that's what the 49ers are doing with both of those guys. I think the fact that they were deemed day to day early in the week is positive, for the most part. And the fact that they were both working on the side field today is a positive. Although it sounded like Fred Warner. So there was two different wordings from two different beat writers. I do
Roger
know
that.
that Fred Warner went back, like, he was done after, like, before even practice started. He was working on the side field, and then before practice started, he like left. Kittle stayed. So Jennifer Lee Chan used the terminology, the verbiage of, he after he tested out his ankle, like, he left, which doesn't seem good. But then the other someone else was like, yeah, he was seemingly like done with his warm up or whatever, and he left, which didn't sound as bad. It was like, oh, okay, like, he was just done with his side work and like left. So I don't know what it was. Like, was it that he tested his ankle and like it didn't feel right, so he said, no, I'm not doing this? or was it like, okay, I'm done with what I was supposed to do today?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I guess we'll keep speculating on that. But yeah, I think for the most part it's cautionary. As far as some of the other injuries, like I said, I think a lot of those guys were day to day in the beginning of the week. Most of those guys who were day to day are now practicing in some capacity, mostly like limited. So I think that's good for their availability on Sunday. And then as far as Jalen Graham, getting signed back to the 53-man roster, I love it. I love it. Like we were bummed, when
Mhm.
they had to let him go. You can't keep everyone on the 53. I do think that the 49ers wanted to get him back on the practice squad. Of course, he got snatched up before then. So I do like the reunion because I did like what he did. It flashed. I do think Tatum Bethune, probably shined a little bit harder, which is why he's where he's at right now. But yeah, I like having both of those guys, and I know the 49ers are great at developing linebackers, so you can never have too many.
Yeah. Yeah. I was bummed too. And the fact that he didn't even make it back to our own practice squad, and it's just like, man. Um, and then I know like a lot of people and me like was kind of upset. Like we kept DFF like over, these young guys. Like we barely just drafted him last year, and like we're already like gave up on him. And, like we hadn't heard anything bad come out about him or, like nothing like that. So it was just kind of like very odd. But like you said, we couldn't keep everybody. But I think it's like we got very lucky that he was still there on the, on a practice squad and wasn't on somebody's actual roster. So we were able to get him back over here. And then lucky in the fact that, like he knows this defense, he knows this team. So it's not somebody like we're having to just pull off, like that's never been here before and having to start over from fresh, like if we do need to rely on him to play some snaps, it's not just like some stranger we're throwing out there, right? Like it's somebody that's been in this system that kind of knows what's going on. So I felt, pretty good about that. Somebody else I wanted to bring up that doesn't have to do with injuries or nothing about that, but that made our practice squad and that we had talked about a little. And now every time I hear his name, I just laugh. Sam. And remember, I had said, Sam, I don't know you. And now every time like he got in this game, it was making all these plays, right? And I'm just like cracking up because I had said, Sam, I don't know you. And now everybody like tweets at me every time he does something, and now I don't even seriously have no clue what his real last name is. I just call him Sam. I don't know you now. But shout out to him because man, like these guys, like that's what we had said when we talked about, looking forward to that Pats game was that we had these guys that were injured and we needed, the young guys to step up and play, the guys that whoever got called up, these guys be ready when your number's called. And like, he's one that I've liked what we've seen from him so far. So I really hope that he gets, some more playing time. That Mr. Sam, I don't know you over there.
It's Okwanu. It's Okwanu. And shout out to Miss Deb for getting me the correct pronunciation because I used to say Okoyanonu is what I used to say, but it's Okwanu. So,
okay.
A lot of people call him Sam O. So
yeah,
right, like you could have just been doing that this whole time instead of saying you didn't know
I'm
him.
not a lot of people. I don't know him.
But now you do. Now you do. Now you do. Put some respect on his name.
All right. Looking ahead to this Cardinals game. How you feeling? How you feeling? Obviously we got that little squirrel back. But he doesn't look to be running around as much as we've seen in previous years. So, like I've always, no matter how good or bad or whatnot the Cardinals are, like I've always hated having to play against Kyler Murray just because he's so slippery and like, our D-line could never know. Like our D-line was so stout at one time and could not stop that freaking little thing to save their lives. Like, I swear, like, it was just like a circus back there. They're just like running around. And he's just like everywhere, like escaping. And it's just like, oh my God, I dread playing his ass. But from the looks of it, new coach, new scheme. He seems to maybe be following the scheme a little bit more than previous years, and not just doing his own thing. But obviously, when the play breaks down, he still is Kyler Murray at the end of the day, right? So, how are you feeling about facing them? Do you think we're going to have some trouble? Tell me, how you feeling, Steph?
Okay, so the more I read up on this game, the better I feel about it for the 49ers and how they can match up against this Cardinals team. You also got to keep in mind the 49ers have beat the Cardinals the last 4 times that they have played. So they already like have their number pretty well. Now, I got to keep in mind that the 49ers can't overlook the Cardinals either, because I think they did that a little bit when they played against the Rams. We saw how that happened. They didn't close out that game like they should have. The Rams were coming off a blowout loss. Who did they get blown out by? The Cardinals. The Cardinals are coming off a blowout loss this past week. Who did they lose to? The Commanders. Cliff Kingsbury's offensive-led Commanders at that. But my point is, this is a team that's coming into this game a little jaded, a little angry, a little like, we just got blown out. We need to show everyone that's not us. So I expect that the Cardinals are going to give their best effort. And look, they are capable of scoring points. So I think it's going to be a higher scoring affair in this game, like for both teams. We'll get to the score prediction here in a bit. I know you're anxious for that one, Mariah, but I just think that there's more favorable to the 49ers going into this one. I'm seeing a couple things, right? So one thing is, and you mentioned it, like Kyler is working within the scheme a little bit better than he has in the past. Other day, I was on Cardinals Reddit, and how Cardinals fans feel about their offensive coordinator, they don't like him. They think he sucks because they think that he's really good at drawing up an opening script, and outside of that, once the defense like adjusts and all that, like he can't adjust on the fly. I remember people used to say that about like Kyle Shanahan, but you know why? Like I thought about it a little bit more, and I think a lot of the reason is because the offense was to an extent like very much limited by the quarterback that they had before, pre Brock Purdy, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if Kyler Murray is the issue, but now with multiple like offensive coordinators having an issue there, I'm kind of erring on that side. Anyway, so yes, they've been very good at opening drives. So if the Cardinals like score in their opening drive, like I want to let people know, don't panic. Like just okay, like we got through that. Let's see what happens after that. Let's see what happens when the 49ers adjust. Could the Cardinals continue to make their way down the field? Could they continue to score points? So I saw this tweet right before we went live. It says, opening 15 plays in 4 games this season, they're 22 of 27, or Kyler is 22 of 27 for 290 yards, 5 touchdowns and 1 sack, 5 scrambles, and all other dropbacks. So outside of the opening script, he's 56 of 88, 530 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 9 sacks, 5 scrambles. Of course, it's a larger sample size, right? Like 15 plays is like a lot less, but you see those splits.
Yeah.
You see those splits. And again, it corroborates what Cardinals fans have said about their own team, who obviously watch their team a lot more than, some of us. So another thing I saw is that Kyler Murray has been not struggling, but he's less efficient against blitz. The 49ers, that's kind of something that Nick Sorensen is throwing in new wrinkle, more blitzing, right? And so I think that's something that could be favorable for the 49ers too. I liked how the 49ers defensive line looked last week against the Patriots. I want to see them do it again. And yeah, another thing that I think Throwback put in the chat was that the was it the pass rush win? Yeah, they're ranked last in pass rush win rate. And I think the 49ers are like 8th or something like that. Like they're in the top 10 of like pass rush win rate. So I feel good about
Nice.
that and how that might like match up with like the Cardinals. But I'm with you. If we get like the squirrel running from from Kyler Murray, that's obviously like a point of concern. I think in recent seasons the 49ers have done better at like limiting you know, mobile quarterbacks. They used to get absolutely gashed by them. I think as long as they have like the discipline to keep them in the pocket, like you got to shut out the edges that they can't escape.
Right.
Um and if they have to, you have to force them behind. Like they have to go backwards before they can go left or right. Like that's what you want, because then that gives your guys more of an opportunity to get to the quarterback and lose a ton of yardage in the process if you get that sack. So that's what you want. So if he does try that, I hope that the 49ers are, disciplined. But yeah, they'll get theirs, like I think they have the capability of scoring quick if they need to, if they're like in kind of a desperation mode and need something going. But 49ers should win this game. Like if you can just survive the Cardinals' best effort, like you should win this game. Brock Purdy has always been phenomenal against the Cardinals. Even Jimmy Garoppolo has been phenomenal. So like there's just something about what the 49ers do that the Cardinals defense in several seasons they don't know how to stop it, right? So yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a good game. And I'm thinking another good Jordan Mason game as well.
Speaking of the O line, I had seen it. I think it was, I don't know. One of the beat writers had posted, maybe David, I don't know, had posted some chart and it showed, that the 49ers are like running the ball more from behind the right side. Yeah. What did you think about that?
I'm not surprised because I think after the first week we saw that, and I tweeted out, was like, is this a Dominic Pooney effect? And a lot of people agreed. Funny enough, I think Lombardi kind of said not really, but or something like that. He like quote tweeted it. I forgot what he said, but yeah, I think it absolutely has a lot to do with what Pooney has been doing. He's looked great, and that's good too, because like it takes away the predictability of your runs.
Yeah.
Like if everyone knows you're going to be running to one side, like they could key in on that a little bit more. Now you got a little bit more options. And yeah, you can have effective runs to the right side. So I don't think Burford played at right tackle last week. I think he's getting reps in practice, but I don't think he's actually getting any reps in games yet. Hopefully at some point maybe they will try that out, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, he's been a stud, man. Like,
yeah, he looks great.
Like we got very lucky with that one. All right, so score predictions. So remember last week, we were only one off. So you had picked 26-13 and I had picked 27-13. Obviously the score was 30-13. So we were both very close. So yeah, the point, differential only changed. Mine up by 3, yours up by 4. So not very much difference.
Okay. Hey, I'm chipping away.
Yep. All right. So this week, Now, and remember last week I had originally was going to have 31-13, but I changed it because I'm like, fool me once, you MFers. I'm not going to say you're scoring 30 points anymore because you haven't been. And then what do they do?
Mm-hmm.
Assholes. So here we are. Do you think they hit that magic 30 points number this week, Steph?
I do. I think they do.
Okay.
Like I said, I think this is going to be a high scoring game from both teams, and I think like Brock is going to be on fire in this game. So I actually predicted 32-27. Might be a little low, but that's what I'm going with. The 49ers, I don't think, what's the highest they've scored this season? Like, what, 33?
32.
32. All right.
Yep.
So I don't want to get, too ambitious and go over that. So I'm sticking with that. 32-27.
Man,
Garbage time. Some
I hope
garbage
that's
time
like
score
Fred
from
Warner
Cardinals.
not playing or something, because
Nah, that score assumes that they play him and Kittle.
Jeez Louise. All right, I'm gonna go to my old faithful 31 to, let's do 31-16 this week.
You see, you're not trying to go too much different than me on the 49ers points. 31.
I have bet that same number every single week, so you're the one that's coming into my territory. Thanks very much.
You need to switch it up. You're being too safe.
No. You need to stop thinking the other team's going to drop 30 on our freaking heads. Like, you have no faith in our defense whatsoever.
When did I predict 30?
You're betting 27, close enough.
I'm just saying. It'll be a last 30? Second. It'll be like garbage time. It'll be garbage time score for the Cardinals.
All right. We'll see. All right. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to tell the good people about before we get out of here?
No, I mean, I did a show earlier today with Monica, Football is Sexy. Make sure you guys check that out. We talked about Devontae Adams and why the 49ers do not need him, so please stop asking. And then tomorrow doing my preview show with Kyle Posey of Niners Nation. So make sure you guys check that out because we'll go through all the favorable and not so favorable matchups. I have a feeling most of them are going to be favorable this time.
As long as we don't have to face against, like a Colt McCoy or, that kind of situation where we should be okay. I was thinking, remember, I swear, wasn't Josh Dobbs like playing for the Cardinals one time when they either beat us or like gave us a run for our freaking money? Like,
yeah, they didn't beat us. That was that not last year? It was like last year in the beginning of the season.
Okay, because I remember I'm like, I know like Colt McCoy beat us, and we were just like, oh my gosh, like we were expecting to go into that game. It was like all backups on the Cardinal side, and they somehow kicked our butts. And then I'm like, I swear, like Josh Dobbs like filled in like for like a handful of games for the Cardinals, and like gave us a pretty good run for our money too.
He did. Yeah, that was before Kyler came back from his ACL tear, but before they traded Dobbs. So
yeah, we had some weird stuff happen with the Cardinals, I swear.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're going to be a pissed off team going into this week because they got blown out last week. Like if you just got blown out, like you're just trying to do everything you can to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're gonna, like I said, I think we're gonna get that best effort. That kind of goes into my, my score prediction as well.
I got it. John B. Let me see what he sneaks in here before we leave. Stephen Ray, do you think that Sorensen has been vanilla with his defense purposely, or do you think he just sucks ass?
Whoa, he did not say that.
Oh. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, you're crazy. Like, no, I don't think that Sorensen has been vanilla at all. Like, I think he has been trying some new things. In fact, like a lot of those things he kind of worked in against the Patriots, kind of like a lesser opponent. You can kind of get
Yeah.
away with that with. And like I pointed out earlier, the blitzing has increased, so that's a new wrinkle. Sorensen has been the more open-minded one between him and Kyle Shanahan in getting the young players snaps. Like, have you guys not noticed that? Like Renardo Green it gets in there. Malik Mustafa, I understand Hufanga was hurt this past week, but even before that, in the one game, Hufanga was healthy to this point. Like, even, we saw a little Mustafa in there as well. So I like that. I like that we're
Yep.
seeing some involvement from those guys. They're getting snaps, so I like what he's trying to do. He's trying to figure out his personnel. He's trying to figure out these younger guys and where they kind of fit in best. And yeah, I like what he's doing so far.
I did like the game plan a lot better against the Patriots. It did seem like, okay, something was, whatever we were doing wasn't working, so let's start blitzing more. Let's switch up a little bit, here and there. And it seemed, like you said, it's a lesser opponent, but I mean, that's who is in front of us, right? So hopefully, and I mean, it's his first few games. Like, the faithful hated D'Amico Ryans his first 10 games with
That's
us.
exactly
like, they hated that Baldy
his
first how many ever games with us. Like, every single DC that we get, the same thing. Like, fire this guy, he sucks. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, this is the best our defense has already looked. And same shit every season. Yeah. Like, all I want isn't for him to cut his damn hair, because now he has Kyle having the same hairdo. And then now Bosa's having the same hairdo. Like, now everybody thinks they can just walk around looking like bums because
what?
he doesn't.
How are they looking like bums?
Yeah, like we got some business in the front, party in the back going on. I don't know, but this ain't the 60s. Like they just sit around and smoke weed and grow out the hair all day.
Man,
so cut your hair. No porn stashes and no party in the
Bill
back.
Belichick. Okay, Bill Belichick over here.
We got to run a tight ship around here, okay?
It's the Yankees. It's the Yankees that, like, everyone has to be like clean shaven. Not Bill. It's the Yankees. Yeah, that's crazy.
Sin said we did that shit in the 70s. Yeah, Jive, the whole team turned into a bunch of California hippies over there. They're gonna be wearing tie-dye shirts the next game. Watch.
Hey, I mean, weed's legal. Just saying.
And I partake, but that doesn't mean that we gotta be looking like we partake. Okay. We can still be looking like professionals.
All right.
We're getting out of here now. Just yeah, I'll see you guys Monday, and then we play next Thursday, right? So me and Steph will go live prior to the game, but we'll probably just have a shorter show than usual, probably, right?
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Make sure you guys tune in with whatever Steph got going on this weekend in the meantime. And Sunday, let's get that dub, faithful. We got to win these games. Ooh. Winnable. Win the winnables. All right. We're out of here. 100% organic.